What's up, you limp gymnasts, huh? You little Propecia addicts? You busting up 8 balls of hair care pills in the back alley? Oh, catch a gram of that to the dome. Oh, check that mop. Daddy's fro looks fuller, don't it? We're talking rest in peace, live in hope, West Coast wedding, 6 years without sex, saying goodbye to a friend, saying hello to ourselves. Man, Barrie Baer was never the same after he got hit by that icicle. He could have gone pro. No, he couldn't. Welcome to This Past Weekend. This Past Weekend. Oh, man. It's good to be home. Good morning. Start your day off with a healthy, balanced
Celebrate living.
Meal.
Celebrate misery. You know that soon we're gonna die.
It's Sunday, October 8th. That's when I'm starting this thing, but you know when I'm going to finish it? Monday, October 9th. So it's going to be hot off of the press for you guys. Thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. Welcome to This Past Weekend. I want to tell you that I was in Oregon for this weekend. Oregon, that's the Northwest. And that is tree country, cheddar cheese country. Do you know that? That they're slanging that dirty dairy, you know? That they're slanging cheese, man. And you have to think about, when I think about that, when I just think about the fact they got a company up there called Tillamook Cheese. And if you go to the grocery store, you can see it. It's in like the fancy section, you know. Like they have all the regular cheese. It's all kind of like orange colored and looks like it was beaten maybe by some of its, parents, or looks like it was maybe jumped by a carton of eggs or something. Or it looks like maybe it was like kind of like the chubby cousin that nobody ever like talked to at the party for a couple decades. They got that area with those big blocks of cheese, and they got the slices, and those cheeses all stacked up, and a lot of you see, sometime when I was young, if we wanted a snack, Mom would hit us with that slice of cheese, kind of sometime even if they only had one slice left in the house and she liked one of us children more than the other, she'd kind of come over and hit you with that slice, or drop it in the back of your t-shirt, Oh, what is that, a snack? My mother had like little tricks up her sleeve like that, and she would drop like a little, hit you with that chili slice of cheese down the back of your shirt, and just, what is that, cheddar? Just slide that cheese slice down the back of your shirt, and you knew that you were the good child. You knew that you were the loved child for that moment in time. And you felt, and it was just a good snack. It was a good snack of cheese. You can break it off. You can cut it into squares. One thing I like to do was put 5 little holes in it and try to put my hand through it and make almost put my fingers through the cheese and almost make like a brass knuckles out of it. And then just cheese check one of my sisters or my brother, Just cheese check them right in the chin, son. Cock! Mom loves me more! You got cheese checked, brother, I'm having coffee. Guys. Good morning or good afternoon or good whenever you choose to consume this. That's up to you. But I am making it on October 8th and October 9th. And I was in Portland, Oregon for a wedding this weekend. And I'm going to get to a lot of things, man. I'm going to get to a few things. Got some emotional things that kind of happened this weekend. But I just want to start off with, I'm just thinking about love, man. I'm thinking about love, and I know that might sound a little bit gay or a little bit tender, but sometimes we have to think about it. Sometimes we have to put love at the forefront of our mind, because we almost sometimes use it as a tool in passing. I find, I see my brother or my niece, and I tell them I love them. I tell them what they mean to me. I love you. I let them know I love them. Sometimes I let them know more pertinently, and sometimes I just say it. But we just use it as a social media tool as well. My love. We use it at the end of a letter sometimes, almost as if it's something. I find that I use it as if it's something that I remember it being used in the past from one of my parents or from a friend or whoever, a step parent who sent me a card or a gift, and they meant it. So I almost use it as a traditional. It's almost like, oh, well, of course, if it's a family member, you finish off the letter with, love so-and-so. But I wonder a lot sometimes if we're practicing it. I wonder if I'm practicing it. And for me, personally, it's hard sometimes. I think I grew up personally without a lot of reflections of love out there. And so for me, I can feel it sometimes, but then I have to go forth and actually make an effort to practice love. And you can do that in a lot of different ways. There's a million opportunities a day to do it, and we're going to get into some of that. I just got emotions on my heart sleeves. I think a lot of us do, right now. I went up to Portland, Oregon this weekend. I went to a wedding. I had a beautiful date that took me up there, and it's a gal that, I spent some time with, and so she took me up there to this Portland, Oregon. And now, if you haven't been up there, they have clean air. Right when you get there, oh man, I'll do another 8-ball of this. I'll hit another couple of lines of Mother Nature's fresh breath. Break me off a couple of grams of that atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling flipped. And the air is so fresh, you catch a buzz, man, Like if I see somebody breathing heavy, I'm like, damn, this dude's getting fucked up. He's getting cracked off out here. And it was nice, man. And the first thing that got me up there was the weather. Because for some people, the weather is starting. And you know me, I'm a proponent of early holidays. I'm ready for Christmas. You cannot even tell. Right outside of the studio, I have my stockings up by the fire. I'm ready. I like the holidays, I love them. And in Los Angeles, a lot of people don't celebrate them. A lot of people do not have any joy in their heart. So they choose not to celebrate. But I like to keep the spirit alive. But I was in Oregon, and I noticed the weather, man. It was getting crispy. And I was asking, does it snow here? And they said, well, sometimes, And it made me think back to the first time it ever snowed in my town. And I was playing basketball. I was on one of these regional, 11 and 12-year-old boys basketball teams. Just fucking, I remember playing 3 quarters one time with the hardest boner you ever seen, dude. I mean, they almost technical fouled me, dude, just for playing too close a defense. Saying I was being a pervert. I can't help it if you got my blood running out here on this sporting event and daddy's going to pop off a little in the crotch at the same time, If this dude don't want to get touched by daddy, tell him to go around. Tell him to beat me to the hoop. Because I can't help it if I'm out here erect playing a little bit of defense. That's where I'm from. I'm from the streets, son, where I bring my dick to the party. All right, I'm a man. And I remember playing basketball, and this was just that time, when everybody was just erections and pimples, just little pockets of sebum, just their pores all filled up with dirt, and their wieners all just filled up with blood and erection juice and sauce or whatever it is, however you make it up. That's up to science. That's not my job. But I remember it snowed. And it had been cold for 2 days, and there had been ice and stuff. And at halftime of one of our basketball games, it snowed. And literally, we came out of the tunnel from the halftime, like, you go in the back, and the coach is, yelling and drinking and stuff. And the players are just kind of relaxing, or whatever, just being, 12 years old. And we came out and the whole gym was empty, and that's because it snowed outside. And people were just bananas. They were bonkers over this new atmosphere. It was like the first time you ever seen a magic show. But like the world was putting the show on for you. It was like Mother Nature was just like, ta-da! And it was snowing. We never seen this. I mean, we're talking about the heat of rural Louisiana. We're talking about, I remember I saw one time a snake in the air. In the air, dude. I saw a raccoon one time sweating. Trying to drink a Gatorade. This is before they had Powerade, when they just had Gatorade. And so, next thing you know, everybody's out in the snow and everybody's having a good time. And there was one boy in our town, dude, and I don't know how this shit, this fucking dude, I mean, anyway, these people was pretty, white trash, really, and I'm no stranger to it, man. I'm 50% white trash myself. But these people had gone on a full 100 percentile. They'd gone all the way in. And the boy got hit by a icicle. And I don't know how, okay? The odds, but this thing lit him up. It was just like a rocket. And we'd had some stuff happen like this in our area. Galactically, we had one kid, I remember when I was really young, got hit by a meteor. Took off his arm or part of his side. And people, there was a lot of questions about that. Some people say his daddy hit him with the car, but the story that ended up winning out was that he got hit by a meteor. And that's, and if his dad did hit him with the car, then that's between their family. But what they said was that it was a meteor. And here's the crazy part is a meteor hit their yard. So, it's not like there was zero meteors and they were just saying they had, proof of meteors. And anyhow, but this boy, Barrie Baer was this boy's name, Barrie, and then the last, either Bayer or something, Barrie Baer. And he got hit by a damn icicle. And his mom, and he was fucked. Something was wrong with that dude. I mean, he was never, they didn't put all the fucking, they didn't put all the cinnamon in his biscuit, if you know what I'm saying. Sometimes you had to tap him on the shoulder to remind him to breathe. That boy was just damn ignorant. It was like somebody had just broken his damn skull open when he was little and just snacked on whatever was in there and then just closed it up and forgot to put anything else back in there. That boy was coming in light, Yeah, but you really almost had to pat him on the back, remind him to breathe. Or if we were running, sometimes you have to remind him we were running. Because he'd start walking fast and just not know how to switch gears, man. Something was wrong with his mental transmission is what I'm going to say. But he went outside running, whatever, wandering around. Who knows what the fuck he was up to. This little fella caught an icicle, man. And his mom, since that day of when Barrie Baer hit that icicle. And I remember his family had this truck, and they had on the license plate said, they had Baer was their last name, so they had like a license plate that says 7 Bears, because they had 7 Bears in the family, 7 children or whatever, and they used to drive them all to church at the same time and file out of this van just like little Pentecostal like Pentecostal clowns. But his mother's always complained since, saying, he was my boy. He was never like this. He was going to go all the way. She'll say shit like that. She's just always complaining about that icicle. He could have gone pro. She'll say shit like that. And Barrie didn't even play nothing. He could have gone pro in what? Being reminded to breathe? No. So that's the thing about, man. But his mother, ever since then, been yelling, complaining. Oh, he could have this and he will, he would have invented something. I remember her yelling one time at City Hall. He would have invented something. What the fuck are you talking about, Miss Baer? It just makes me, mad. I'm getting to a point here. I know I'm dragging here, but here's my point. is over the years, sometimes I think that when I look at their family now, and I see them from time to time, I seen them at the Burger King last time I was home. And I don't know if you ever been to a Burger King. It's a shithole, kind of masked in this kind of Game of Thrones cartoon kind of environment. And they but I saw them up there, and I saw just with them sitting by each other, and I could see that she still had in her head that everything that had gone wrong in her life had been this icicle, and she was still complaining. I could just feel if I went over and talked to her, she was going to tell me about it. Tell me about that sickle that hit Barrie. You know? That sickle took him down. Y'all could have been out there. Y'all was sports players, you know? Telling us. That's what she told us, the basketball team. Y'all could have been out there. You could have saved him. Bitch, I'm not a fucking meteorologist. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a defense tactician against cold weather and against ice and frozen water, you know? But when I looked over at them, I remember the last time I saw them, and I'm going to get to my point, is that you could tell that she just been complaining about this. And whatever relationship she was going to have with her son, you could tell it had kind of lost, because I don't remember her being like that as much before. You know, I remember being a little bit silly, but I remember her being a little bit more calm. But instead of choosing to just really embrace her son and embrace what was going on, she chose to just shout about it, you know, and to complain and to just be fucking, he could have gone pro. He didn't play anything, ma'am. You know, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, and it just seemed like when I looked over at them, I felt like she was missing out on an opportunity to care about her son, to have a relationship with him. Because look, that ice shook him. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. Cut into him, shook him. Only icicle I've ever seen. And, you know, from what I hear, pretty decent size. You know, just like a real skinny frozen shark made out of water. Just fucking bit him like in the back of the neck and the top of the head. And look, you know, that's neither here nor there, you know, whatever happened. But the choice she's made, Miss Baer, since then has been to complain. And to just gripe. And all the conversations I remember seeing, they're around her. They're all about, he could, you know, this and that and the blame and pointing fingers. But what she's missing out on, to me, and this is just my perception, okay? I don't have to be right. But to me, it looks like she's missing out on an opportunity to love her son. And so that's what sometimes, you know, anyway, so I'm going to bring this together, guys. I'm going to bring this together. Bear with me. But I remember that, you know, and I remember that's one of the first things I remember about frozen weather and cold weather. And then I'm at this weekend and, you know, and I'm at this wedding and you see they got beautiful examples of love out there. You know, I mean, just beautiful examples of love, you know, and I never liked going to weddings. You know, I think when I was younger, I didn't believe in it. Honestly, to me, it seems stupid. It seems stupid. Two people are going to get married. Oh, what are you going to do, huh? You know, go home together, you know? Oh, everything's going to work out okay. You're going to have a fireplace, you know? What are y'all going to have recipes and everything's going to be okay? You know, I think some of that's just because growing up, you get wild, you know? If your environment's wild, you get wild. And your brain gets wild and your heart doesn't have any trust in it. You know, and your heart's more of a brain than it is a heart. And that's trouble sometimes, you know, when your heart wants to think. Because your heart's just supposed to feel, you know. Your heart's just supposed to feel. And I was at this wedding, man, and it was beautiful. You know, I saw they had a father-daughter dance, and they get out there, and they're hugging, and my date, her sister was getting married, and so I'm right there in the thick of it. You know, I'm right there. I'm like sitting by the dad while they have the father-daughter dance. I'm trying to I'm being like, how do I act at a marriage? You know, like, do I, you know, I almost wanted to hold up a sign that said 8.5, you know, 3.25 stars. Like, I was like, I didn't know if, I had to turn off certain parts of me that wanted to judge, that wanted to act out, that wanted to, spray mace. I remember being at a party when I was young, and I lit that room up with a hit of mace while nobody was looking. And until you've seen about 30 just white trash people just, dance to some NWA, and some put there's a place by me, while crying at the same time, son, you really haven't seen life. Okay? And that's how I remember setting it off at a party. But here you had people loving each other, man. And this wedding didn't have any cake. I thought that was odd, and that shook me out of the beginning. But, I just had to be patient. I had to relax, and I had to not act out, man. I find sometimes when I get around instances of like a lot of love, sometimes my choice is to act out, instead of to embrace what's going on. But this weekend I felt pretty good about myself because I chose to just sit there and watch people just, fall in love. I brought some gummy bears to the reception, or to the actual wedding. Hit this old dude up next to me with a pack of Haribos, bruh. Had that dude bent off about 40 bears, dude. Had that dude bent out of shape, bruh. A couple of them had a little bit of extra in them, So I had this dude straight up kneeling, dude. Kneeling. He could have caught that bouquet in his mouth, dude. This dude was getting lifted, bro. He was turning into a dolphin, man. Had that dude lit, man. Burning his grits. But yeah, man, I saw a lot of love. So I saw a lot of love this weekend. And it was nice, man. And Portland's a beautiful area if you ever get to go up there. And I want to tell you guys right now, I still got a couple more stories, a couple things I'm going to talk about. But I want to tell you right now that this Tuesday night in Los Angeles, I'll be at the Hollywood Improv with some beautiful friends of mine, man. The powerful Joe Rogan is going to come out. Mr. Nick Swartzen is going to come out. Dave Weasel is going to come out. Fahim Anwar, Jimmy Shin, and myself. And I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited. What else, man? We don't have Ari on today. We don't have him on today. Still kind of figuring that out. I know you guys have had a couple thoughts about him. Before I crack into a few more stories, I just want to listen to a couple of you guys' quick thoughts real quick on Ari. Here we go.
The Mark from
Hold on. Here we go.
Theo. The Mark from Kansas. I just want to call you and tell you about how much Ari sucks. Get him off of the podcast.
Wow, Mark being vocal. Let's go.
That's about it.
The way that you are speaking. But anyway, the reason I call, I guess, is that when you had that other guy on there, I haven't heard him say anything funny at all. Onward.
What up, Theo? This is Tyson. I just want to say I love Ari on the show. I'm from Georgia. Right now I'm just driving to pick up a little bit of Kalani pins at my brother's house over here. Pop them on the way back and enjoy the rest of your show. Just wanted to give you a holler.
Klonopins at your brother's, man. Now that's an early Christmas, man. If you're over there in Georgia, that's an early Christmas. If you're already popping into some Klonopins at your brother's. Klonopins have hit my family hard over the years. And I'll say that outright and vocal, and I'm not going to point any fingers or anything like that, and I'm not going to even point all those fingers away from myself, but they have hit my genetics over the years, and I know that they've done that to a lot of people. I want to talk about a few more things, man. I also want to tell you I'm going to be in Huntsville, Alabama in 3 weeks, November 14th through 16th. That's actually like 6 weeks away. So, but come on out. That's at Stand Up Live. But I want to talk about this Las Vegas, man. I want to talk about this for a minute because I know it's been on everybody's hearts. I know some people, you're tired of hearing it. Well, look, I've been trying to think of why. I've been trying to think of why. You had this fella, and I thought a lot about it, man. And what I come to is this conclusion. You have this guy, Stephen Paddock, right? And some things about him, if you don't know, I know you know about it, but he in 1960, his father, when he was 7, his father went to prison for a series of bank robberies, right? His father was a bank robber, a famed bank robber. And apparently the family knew nothing about it. And surely if they were children, they didn't know. You don't have a perception of that, I doubt, at that age. But suddenly one day, the feds showed up and popped his father, and that was it. And he went to prison. He was on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list, right? So that happened to him when he was young. It was just something that occurred in his life. Some of his jobs, he was a postal worker and a tax auditor, okay? Pretty stressful jobs, I feel like. And notorious for stress, those jobs. These days, everything is, but those jobs certainly, right? He had a couple failed marriages. Love it didn't seem to be his strong suit. Okay, I know you've seen interviews with his brother. His brother seems, if you haven't seen him, his brother seems like all over the place. Disconnected. His brother seems disconnected. He had 2 failed marriages, and he did a lot of gambling, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. He would live in casinos for a month at a time and playing video poker. That's extremely disconnected when you think about it. Here's a disconnected man. Love isn't working for him. He made a lot of money. He made a lot of money in real estate. He worked hard, had a couple of different jobs, worked hard, and then ended up making a lot of money in real estate here in California. Millions. He was a millionaire. Made enough money where his mother didn't have to work and his brother didn't have to work if he chose not to. Apparently, these are all sources, And also he had an instance in his life where one of his buildings was, during the riots in Los Angeles in the 90s, one of his buildings was in an area where they were expecting there could be a lot of looting. And he went on top of his building. This is Stephen Paddock, the Las Vegas shooter. He went on top of his building in a flak jacket with a gun and protected that building. Was up there just ready to protect. We must protect this house. He was ready. He was ready to protect his house. So he had that in him. He had that. He got this weird taste of probably power of what it was like to be on top of a building in a flak jacket, king of his domain. He owned the building and, possibly willing to shoot someone, at that time, I'm saying, to protect whatever he thought was his. So there you have it, man. You got this lady that he had, this Mary Lou, whoever she is. She sounds docile. She sounds just kind of like a pawn, maybe a fixture. That was a sweet woman, not a bad woman, probably a great woman. She probably catered to his demands. And it seems like when I start to look at this guy, that he catered more towards the dark sides of his life. I'm sure when his father went away, it was probably really tough, really, really tough. Just to not have that, to not be able to find love, to know that his father had chosen this other thing that was more important than him, this criminal life. And then you start to look at his life and he couldn't make marriage work. He didn't have any love, man. There was no love coming into this man's life. He was sitting in front of video poker. He was already a millionaire. So where was his desire? Once you're a millionaire, where's your desire? If you don't have any love, if there's nothing you're looking to spread or to create. And then I think there was, to me, I could imagine there was this part of him in conjunction with the father being a criminal. And there's a lot of rumor out there that it can be genetic. There's not a ton of proof, but there's more proof than there is not proof. I think there's a study that I read where if you have a family member who is a criminal, you're, I think, 4 times more likely to be involved in some sort of crime. Now, who knows what group they took that from. But anyhow, you have this guy. So you have Paddock, you have the crime, you have the father as the criminal, you have him with no love in his life. He had no love, man. And he was watering the dark sides of his life. He was choosing to give light to the gambling. Sitting there in front of a video poker machine, it's almost, you can feel how it gets sick after a while. You're just pressing a button and it's meaningless. Especially if you're already a millionaire. What are you even trying to do? Really, when you think about what are you trying to accomplish? You don't even care if you're losing tens to $100,000 a month. You don't even care. Imagine how just brainless that must have been. And so this dark part of him was growing. This dark part of him was growing. And I think he was just a perfect storm for something like this to happen. I think he was a perfect storm. 300 years ago, if some guy runs into a building with a knife and stabs 3 people, this is the modern day equivalent of that. This is that now. And I think he just was this perfect storm of just lovelessness, egomaniacal. They said he had a lot of ego. He'd been living for years probably as a millionaire, gambling. So nothing, money, there was no, just purposeless. This small element that his father was a criminal. This thing inside of him that probably maybe always made him wonder if he was to be a criminal. I think every boy a little bit wants to be like their father or thinks they are like their father no matter what. So that seed in him of darkness, of that seed with if that seed were on a teeter-totter, that dark seed, there's nothing on the other side of that totter. All his teeter is the dark arts, and there's no totter. There's no totter. And I think that's why it happened. I think that's why it happened, man. And I know that's not a lot of a reason, but for me, that's a lot of reason. That it's, he didn't water the love side of his life. And I don't feel like that in my life, like I'm at that extreme, but at all. Let me say, I know sometimes I just, kind of tail off at the end of sentences, but you got to water the other side of your life. You have to water the other side of your life. Okay, I'm not saying that everybody's going to end up being a shooter or a killer. But I am saying that this is your life, okay? And your brain is powerful. It's a computer, okay? And things can happen to it if you don't take care of it. And that's the thing. You have to take care of the good parts of your life. You have to. You have to fight against the dark arts that are inside of you. And I think that it's our job then. The toughest part is if you are somebody that feels love and feels like your life has love in it, then if you feel that something is wrong with someone else, I believe you have a responsibility to ask them how they're feeling. Fuck how people are thinking. I am sick of how people are thinking, right? How are they feeling? Because thinking is cool, right? But thinking is not more powerful than feeling, okay? I was reading yesterday that you cannot feel love and think hate. You cannot feel love and think hate. Do you know that? But you can think love and still feel hate. So what I'm saying is that feeling wins. And and maybe over the years, if people would have checked in with this man enough and asked him, how do you feel? What's going on? How do you feel? Because people ask you that enough and you're going to melt a little and you're going to share it. And I'm not putting the responsibility of this man. Of course, the man was mentally ill. His father was, I think, declared a psychopath. Who knows, at what level of illness this man was at. Obviously, he was the Andrea Gagliani, really. And I'll say it again, that this was just a perfect storm. Mark Wahlberg couldn't have saved us. But if you got love in you, man, and you got to share that shit. I know that stuff, I know it sounds a little bit, no homo or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But you got to share that shit. Ask people how they fucking feel. Because asking people what they think, that ain't doing it anymore. That's not getting us anywhere. We got to ask each other how we feel, man. And I know I got a lot of this on me too. Like, a lot of people know that Ralphie May passed away. A friend of mine. And Ralphie and I, we weren't best friends. I don't want to put that out there. But when I was around Ralphie, he made me feel good on purpose. He did it on purpose. Some people, it's an accidental thing, but Ralphie made me feel, he made me feel cared about, you know, and it's almost hard for me to say a little bit, dude. You know, sometimes in my life, man, I'm so used to, I got so used as a child to, not feeling cared about, that it is hard for me to admit as an adult when I am cared about, when someone does care about me. And it's not even a choice really that I'm making. Well, now it is. Now if I start to have that feeling, I have to be vulnerable and, you know, and honor the fact that I know someone cares about me. But, you know, for years I had to, man, I couldn't even feel if somebody cared about me. I couldn't even feel it. That's baffling, isn't it? I could not even feel it. And I know this is kind of like a lot on this episode, man, but it's, I mean, fuck, man, we out here in these streets, you know? We are out here in these streets. All right, let me tell you guys, I got to run and do a Comedy Store set. I'll be back in just a few minutes, but for you guys, we're just going to go right to the next moment. All right. All right, before we move on, I want to let you know that there is a way you can support the show. It's Patreon, patreon.com/Theo Von, TheoVon. You can go there and support the show. There will be extended footage from episodes that is available on Patreon. And thank you to our Patreon supporters who helped us to get our own new camera that you guys are seeing today on YouTube. So that's really, really exciting, and I'm very grateful to you guys for that support. As well, there's a tour shirt that has all the cities from this past Hampton Ain't Easy tour, and that the dates are all listed on the back, the cities, and the front is like a new Theo Von type of logo. I'm not trying to speak about myself in the third person. I'm just trying to describe to you what the shirt is like. You can check it out for yourself, and that's at theovon.com/store, STORE. I'm sorry to hawk goods, but you know what? I got to stay in business, dude. I got to stay in business, and I got to stay in business. I'm gonna hit some calls right here. You guys had a bunch of great calls, and one of them that's catching into my heart. Really, we're gonna catch right here.
Theo, it's your boy Ibby, calling from Las Vegas, Nevada. Calling to give you my condolences on Ralphie May, brother. I know he was a good friend of yours, and I hope you dealing and staying positive with the good Lord. And I just want to give my prayers out to you and to Ralphie May's family. My condolences, brother. God bless. Love you. Stay up. Love the podcast. Me and the fan.
Love you too, Ibby, man. Appreciate the call. For those of you guys who don't know, which I'm sure aren't very many, Ralphie May, and this is on behalf of the New York Times, a loud and large comedian known for his extensive touring and comedy specials on Netflix and other outlets, died Friday in Las Vegas. He had been in a residence at Harrah's Casino. He was 45 years old. Mr. May, born Ralph Duran May on February 17th, 1972, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, was a 17-year-old student in Arkansas when he won a contest to open for Sam Kinison. And that's where it all began. He moved to Houston, then to become a full-time comedian, working the circuit for years. And Ralphie May worked the circuit like nobody else. You know, at first I didn't really know what to think whenever I heard that Ralphie had passed away. I mean, obviously I was sad, but it's wild because the sadness, it's really, I mean, at first I felt scared because it reminded me that life ends, you know, that even if you're somebody like Ralphie May, who was out bringing joy to people and, you know, and responding to his fans on Twitter and interacting. I mean, for a guy who couldn't move very well physically, he stayed mobile in the way that he interacted with so many people. I mean, a lot of it on social media, but just his touring, he wanted to be there. He wanted to meet his fans and see his fans. And it's an interesting dichotomy because he was immobile, physically. He wasn't, you weren't going to catch him playing soccer, So just amazing that he stayed touring as a way, to keep him mobile in a way. But he was just one of the nicest guys. He always made you feel cared for. And he was genuine. You just knew that he cared. A lot of guys in this business, you bump into them, you pass them, you interact with them weekly, and you don't know how they feel about you. You don't know. Maybe they don't care. Maybe it's just business. It's work. But Ralphie, it's just amazing how he cared about everybody and how he just, the dude was fucking full of care, man. It was just remarkable. And I remember times where I would be feeling down about the business or doubting myself, and he would not let me do it. He would just remind me, that I was, like some type of William Faulkner or something he would talk about, or I don't know. He would just talk about the Lord or something just to lift my spirits up. And yeah, I go through waves where I'm thinking about him and I'm watching his videos. And I'll share a great video below this on the YouTube that is a link to Bert Kreischer and Joey Diaz talking about Ralphie May. But he was a special man. And I'll say this, that Earth, as we know it, lost a very special man. And I cannot even imagine the wings that the Lord will have to hook to that man if he's going to turn him into an angel. Sweet God, some real pterodactyl type wings. And Ralphie May tweeted a few years ago that he wanted us, if he were ever to pass, to laugh, to joke. And that's something he loved, man, to keep the joking going. So I appreciate the call. Still have a few voice messages going back with other comedians where we're interacting and discussing the loss and just thinking about it. But he was one of a kind. And if you haven't checked out some of Ralphie May's stuff, he was fearless. He would go into these black rooms and you could see, you can't show fear in these black rooms, in these black comedy rooms. And there were more than a decade ago and 20 years ago when it was, things were maybe a little more separate, or there were more specific black comedy clubs. But Ralphie May would be in there. And there's a level of pride as a white comedian, or maybe as any comedian, when you can go into an urban, if you want to call it, comedy room and do your job. Because there's a different level of intimidation in there. I can't explain it. It's like you are fighting for your life, because I think black people just in general are more vocal, more verbose, and just genuinely good entertainers. You take any average black person and put them up an average white person, and they're probably going to be more entertaining. Now, what facet that's in, who knows? But, I think that, so there's a level of intimidation as a comedian when you go in there and you go into an urban room. But Ralphie loved it, and there's some great videos of him online where you can check out and see exactly what he did. But I want to get to some of you guys' calls here. We're just trying to stay in the love, man. I know that sounds general and that sounds vague, but, when I look back and think about just this weekend of mine, being at this wedding and seeing people, dude, there were these bride and groom, and sometimes they would say stuff, and I'm thinking, man, some of this stuff seems cheesy. But the reason it seems cheesy is just because I'm not in touch with my feelings. It's not because they don't feel those things. It's my problem, it's my issue. And it was just an interesting time for me to see, what love looks like and what it is when people get together to celebrate it, and how weddings are such an important thing. I never really had that understanding before. People, it was just, I don't know, people were dancing and the music was ridiculous, and man, they passed out these, they had this little booth where you could take pictures and stuff with the different headdresses, and you could put on an Indian headdress or like a big glasses or a funny nose or whatever, and then you could take a picture out there. And then they had this Tommy gun, dude. And next thing you know, they got some dude running around the dance floor with a Tommy gun. And I'm like, jeepers. It looks like fun. But just not the time for it. Not the time for it, guy, who may have been me. Anyhow, let's keep it moving. All right, let's crack into a few calls here. Thank you guys for hitting the hotline this week. Let's see what we got on the line here.
Hey, what's up, Theo? This is a call-in from Las Vegas. And I'm just calling about, I'm sure you've heard what's happened out here and the sadness and everything. But, I had four people I know get shot, and a buddy I know that I've worked with for 3 years, he got shot in the face and killed.
Wow. And I'm sorry if some of you guys weren't expecting maybe this type of call to be on here this morning. Maybe it's not what you want to be hearing, but I think it's important to kind of see what's going on with some people in this area if this guy's willing to call in. And I appreciate your call, brother. Onward.
Pronounced them dead today. But I'm just wondering, man, is shit just getting too crazy out there? Can you not even go to a concert and enjoy it with your friends? I mean, I have friends tell me they were running from bullets. It's just crazy, Can you not even go see a movie? Can you not go to the fair, sporting events? This world's just getting too crazy, and you see it happening every day. So I mean, it's a little more real when it happens to you yourself, and it's just got me thinking, man.
I appreciate your call. I think it's got everybody thinking, but even more so, it's got me feeling. Because in your voice, yeah, I hear your thoughts. I hear you share your thoughts. But I below that, I can hear what you feel, man. When you feel, it sounds like you feel, a little brokenhearted, for society. Obviously for your loss. And my condolences for your friend that you lost and your friends that had, I cannot imagine what that's like. And I appreciate you calling and, bringing this experience a little bit closer to us as listeners on this past weekend and to me. It just felt, this thing for me felt intense. It just felt heavy. You're right. Are we safe? Can we go out? Can we do things? Well, here's the thing. What are you going to do? What else are you going to do? You going to stay inside, And I'm not bringing this just at you, but I'm just saying overall, what else are we going to do? We're just going to huddle and hide and not live our lives? We're already locked into our computers and locked into, our phones, and, we're already becoming addicted to things. We're already becoming less and less human. I think this was just a perfect storm of disaster. I don't think this is going to become a regular thing. And I think this is sometimes the devil lurks, man. I was talking with my brother about this evening, and he's saying, well, they had that man, Ted Bundy. He just used that as an example. But people thought that he was a mild-mannered, well-to-do guy. Women liked him. He seemed normal, aloof, but normal. And here he was. This man was, a serial killer. Sometimes Satan lurks, man. People want to say, oh, Satan and this and that. But nobody else has an explanation. Except the dark arts got that man, Stevie Paddock. The dark arts got that man. And all we can do is build up the love that's in our hearts, bro, and pass it on. When you see somebody, you catch that feeling that somebody has some struggle, or they're cold, or they're rude, break that moment, bust through that moment, instead of being like, man, fuck this person. Hit him up, man. Come at him even. You know what's ice cold? To come at a dude and be like, what's going on, man? Are you feeling something? Are you feeling upset? What's going on, bro? That's ice cold to me. That's the coldest thing you can do, is get real with somebody. You know, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this, but I am saying that I recognize it. You want to get real? You know, getting real ain't pulling a fucking gun. This dude was a wimp, right? Getting real ain't, you know, fucking somebody up, you know, busting a tooth loose. Getting real is catching somebody's feelings. What's up with your feelings, man? What's up with your feelings? Or woman? You know, what's up with your feelings, man? How do you feel? Because we can talk about how we think all day. But that shit's not getting us anywhere, man. So I feel like we've got to start to figure out our own feelings. And as we do, we've got to figure out other, you know, we have to work together with others to share ours and get them to share theirs, man. I know this shit sounds, you know, vague and stuff, but I think it's real, man. I really, really think that it's real. We've gotten so caught up and so away from things that are realistic, you know, that we're all living in these almost little fantasy universes online and in these little bubbles and on Twitter and in these, you know, that we are missing out on some of the reality. We're missing out on that human connection. And when you get so disconnected and you don't water those good seeds inside of you, then the dark arts can prevail, man. And that's what I think happened in this scenario. Thank you for calling. Sorry about your friends. Onward, next call.
Hey, Theo Vaughn. This is your boy, Tom, from rural North Carolina.
Damn, Tom, boy. What you eating, that electric oatmeal, huh? Where you getting your oatmeal from? A cocaine dealer? Next. Onward.
Hey, man, I just wanted to send you my thoughts and prayers on why I think people sending their thoughts and prayers is bullshit. Every time there's a tragedy like Sandy Hook, Vegas, it doesn't matter. Turn on your Facebook feed, everybody's devastated. Oh, man, so shooken. So shook. So shook. Oh, man, send your prayers. Gotta go to Starbucks. Let me get to Starbucks and I'm gonna send my prayers. That's just such bullshit, man. Like, I'm so fucking tired of social media. It's just, like, everybody's so fucking fake. Like, send your thoughts and prayers, dog. You didn't know a fucking person in Las Vegas, man. Like, I knew one.
Tom's heated. I can tell you're heated, Tom. I appreciate you calling. You've called before. I appreciate you calling, brother. But you're a little bit heated. You don't like the thoughts and prayers. Let's hear a little bit more here. Tom, onward.
Random chick in Snapchat that happened to be there in Las Vegas had nothing to do with it. This chick's talking like she got shot. Thoughts and prayers, man. If you're gonna send some money, and then people will be like, "Oh, I made this donation." Don't tell me you made a donation. Like, did you make the? That just makes me think you made the donation just to say I made a donation. If you're gonna do good, you do good out of the goodness of your heart. You help somebody cross the street. You help somebody when they're down, man. You're not like, oh man, this is a great situation to show everybody how great I am.
Well, Tom, we live in a me universe right now. You know, we really do. And, you know, we live in a universe where we just get caught into our own worlds, where we're the only person that really exists and other people are players. And when that disease gets dark enough, that infection gets dark enough, I think you can see things that happen with like Stevie Paddock, you know, where he's popping off and gunning. You know, but I'll say this about thoughts and prayers, Tom. I thought about this. I see a lot of people on social media right after these shootings and right after these tragedies sharing thoughts and prayers. And I do it myself. And other people say, oh, well, this has, you know, gun control and this and that. Yes, we may need some regulations. We need some changes. We need some laws. Okay, we need, how effective and helpful will they be? I don't know. But as an example, would it be nice maybe to have some different laws, some different regulations? Sure. But here's why thoughts and prayers helps immediately. Because that's what people want. If I'm lying on the ground and I've been shot, I've been attacked, I'm deficient in my humanity because of somebody else's sickness or illness. I don't want someone to tell me, oh, but as I'm leaving the universe, they should have had better gun laws. I don't want that. I want somebody sitting there with me praying. I want somebody letting me know that they're thinking of me. I don't want to be alone. And that's what I think it's about, thoughts and prayers. No one who's saying thoughts and prayers is thinking that's going to heal the universe. No one's thinking it's going to solve the problem. thoughts and prayers are an immediate reaction. And I think they're the reaction that anyone should have. When there's a tragedy, I feel like praying is one of the best things that you can do. Praying for somebody else's peace. All praying is meditating and not thinking about yourself. But I'll tell you this, man, I'm sure the families of these people who were killed in this tragedy, the first thing that they're thinking isn't they should have different gun laws. That's not the first person they want coming to their door is, and whether they should or not, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that's not what they want first. The first thing people want, I feel like, is they want humanity. They want some piece of human touch, and that's where the thoughts and prayers come in. So I disagree with you on the thoughts and prayers, Tom, but I appreciate your calling. Let's catch one more call here about the Vegas.
Hey, Theo, what's going on? This is Sean calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Thanks for calling, Sean. Fredericksburg. I've never been there, I don't think. But Virginia, one of the states. Let's hear it.
I just had some commentary I'd like to share following yet another tragedy over on this side of the globe. I can't...
This sounds like it's being read to me off of a yet another. Sounds like something you would write and then read back to us rather than just speak straight up. But that's okay. I understand for some people to call and leave a voicemail, it might be tough. And so I understand even if that is the case, but onward.
I can't even imagine how those who lost loved ones in Vegas might be feeling right about now. But on top of that, man, the response I've seen on social media in the news has made me sick. I've seen people turning this tragedy into a racial or bipartisan issue, you know what I'm saying? People out here saying, see, white people are terrorists too. It's a result of white privilege in America. Or even people bringing politics into it, like calling out Trump, saying he'd rather be golfing or some shit rather than, tending to the American people, helping out with those in Puerto Rico, whatever it is, man. Or Hillary Clinton using this as a platform to try to take down the NRA.
Right. Look, I appreciate your call here, and you're right. There's a lot of this stuff going on. First of all, I don't need a president to tell me everything's going to be okay. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't need. Some people need that shit. I don't care if I hope that the president has some concern. As a human, some presidents are going to be a lot more empathetic than others are. But most of the shit that all these politicians say, it just comes off like bullshit. I think a lot of these politicians are just so disconnected from what regular humans' lives are like. Yeah, so I agree. I don't know if I agree or not. I can't even remember what you were the exact point you were making, but yeah, people are using it for different reasons, but I don't need my president to tell me everything's going to be okay in a tweet or an announcement. That doesn't do anything for me. If there's aid that needs to be directed and the president wants to make an announcement about that, then that's the bells and whistles, If the president wants to say, in light of this tragedy today's a great time to pray for your fellow Americans, sure, I think that's great. If the president wants to share information on where people can donate, I think that's great too. But I don't need my president to tell me everything's going to be okay. Maybe some people do. I don't need that. Onward.
It just makes me sick. I can go on and on. These are friends of mine I see on Twitter, talking about this kind of stuff. It's like, are we better than this? American people died. Citizens, our brothers and sisters died at the hands of an extremely mentally ill person. And rather than mourning or coming together, the reaction seems to be, let's cut deeper into this division,
I appreciate it, man. It's true. It's a good point. And I don't know. I think it's true. It's just we become more divided. How do we get to that next level where we then need to be unified again? It's going to take something huge, man. It's going to take something huge. And I sometimes worry that the media makes things so much worse than it is. All they care about is dividing us. I strongly believe that. I don't feel like there's any goal. And if anyone still believes that the media has humanity's best intention at heart, I think I would love more proof of that. And if you want to drop a call into that to help open my mind up to why I'm, might be wrong about that, then let me know. But the media seems to just be, the media is the new Don King. That's what I feel like, And in this corner and in this corner, they're just promoting it almost seems like the end of the world. That's what it seems like to me sometimes. That's what they're trying to do. What they don't realize is that we are on to them. That people see that. They see past that. They see past that. But I agree. How do we get to that next thing that then brings us all together? There's so much division these days. But there's not as much as they make it seem like on television. All right, let's check into another call here. Thank you guys for hitting the hotline.
Hey, Theo. This is Ryan. I'm in Minnesota. I just want to say I love your podcast, man.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate the call. I love Minnesota. I don't want to tell you what happened there. Onward.
Crack me up daily. I love it. Absolutely love it. I was just wondering, what do you think about divorce? Because I've been married for 7 years, and my wife just asked for a separation. She wants a divorce. She said we've changed. We don't have anything in common anymore. She got into some spiritual stuff, some weird healing things with rocks and whatnot.
Oh, showing them rocks. Now, you know what's crazy about rocks? A lot of women, when they get on that rock, they could drift out of a marriage. And now, and I'm talking crack, I'm talking that, that boulder cocaine, but I'm also talking about geodes, quartz, quartzite, emeralds, and all of that. These ladies get on these big rocks, and next thing you know, they wearing, candy corn underpants and, drinking their own breast milk out in the woods. And so that's another thing you have to be careful of. It's almost as dangerous as getting into drugs is people getting hopped up on their own spirit. People, shaking their own dandruff into a cup and then, freebasing a couple grams of it. Either way, that rockage can affect a marriage either way, one way or the other. That can really, it can really take some of these women down. So keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. That's what I tell you there. Keep your eyes open. Onward.
I don't understand it. We had a daughter 6 years ago, almost to the day, and she...
Well, happy birthday to your daughter. Onward.
She co-slept with her, so we haven't slept together for 6 years, and now she says that we've grown apart, and, I reminded her that the reason we've grown apart is because you haven't slept with me for 6 years, and she thinks it's just fine that, this is what people do. Our daughter's going to be fine because everybody gets divorced these days, and I'm not down with that, Theo. I believe in marriage, and I made a promise to God that I would stay with her for, through sickness and health and all that stuff. So I was just wondering what you think about that.
I appreciate your call, bud. Okay, so you said your wife co-slept with your daughter. I'm guessing that they, after your daughter was born, it's been 6 years now that they shared, a bed together. And some parents choose to let their children sleep with them. Some don't. For 6 years, and you and your wife are not engaging in sex. It doesn't sound like for 6 years. To me, outsider's perspective, what would my just judgment be? It sounds like your wife has some issues. It sounds like your wife, maybe wanted a child and is now just kind of riding this thing out. And that she, instead of dealing with whatever issues kind of she has, she's gotten into this, these new geodes or whatever, or getting hopped up on this, stalactites or whatever, collecting these, stalagmite chippings or whatever she's, picking up out in the woods or whatever and praying to. She's doing that as like a sidestep, You know, instead of dealing with our issues, sometimes people, instead of dealing with our issues, we just go head deep into something wild. You know, something really, some type of chicanery that keeps us bent up so we don't have to straighten out. Sometimes it's easier to just take a bend instead of staying straight. You know, sometimes it's easier. That's what it sounds like. But it also sounds like you guys might have some codependency issues. I don't know. But I do know this. It sounds like an unhealthy environment to be in right now. You know, and the fact that you want to stay in there and you're putting it on God and stuff like that, I respect that. But God wants you to be in a healthy environment. You know, God wants you to be able to be healthy relationship-wise. If you're not sexually active with your wife for 6 years, you know, and she's not okay with that, she wants some separation, she wants some space, I think now's a good time for you to figure out what's going on with you. I really do. Continue to be a good father. I would say maybe find a therapist or a group therapy and start to share some of your feelings so you can get to the bottom of what's going on with you. That's what I would suggest, man. But also, I don't fucking know, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm afraid to even get married. Dude, sitting at this wedding this weekend, I had so many commitment issues and I had nothing to do with it. All I had to do was just, you know, not be crazy. You know, not do anything wild, not steal nothing. You know, people used to steal a lot, you know. And I was one of those people sometimes when I was younger. So just because you go to a party doesn't mean that shit's yours, you know. So, you know, I can only, you know, give you so many thoughts because I don't have so much experience with that. But those are just things from a ballpark listener. That's what it sounds like to me. I appreciate your call. Let's check in a little bit more here with another call. Thank you for calling.
What's up, Theo? This is Devin. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I had a question, man, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I think you're a wise guy.
Well, I don't know about that, man, but I appreciate you calling, Devin. Let's hear a little bit more.
First time, you know, I made love with a woman, man. We were dating for a while, and I couldn't really fit it in, man. You know, I don't have a big Johnson by any means, but you know, there was just something going on. She had some, you know, Trump built something in her vaginal canal, and so we had.
Oh, she had that small cavern, and that's that small cavern, man. Some women got that small cavern down there. You know, it's more like a ear hole than it is really a vagina. Some ladies got that small cavern. Onward.
To resort to butt sex, man, and you know, I put it in her butt. That was the first time I had sex.
Wow, buddy. You know, you just throwing it out there like that. Attacking people's buttocks, you know. The old lunch hunter himself, huh? Okay, so the first time you had sexual intercourse, this was you was getting erotic, and you was inside of this young lady's buttocks. Onward.
Sex, and after that, man, I guess I'm just into butt stuff now, and I don't know if that messed with my head, but you know, I find when I, you know, start liking girls and stuff, I want to put it in their butt, and it kind of ruins stuff because, you know, they don't want brown, you know.
Well, look, buddy, I mean, some of that's getting a little graphic there, and I don't know if you, you know, and I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you calling. Yeah, you can't be out there hunting butt. I'll tell you that straight up. A lot of men out there, they sidestepping, you know, the natural caverns of women, you know, the appropriate caverns, cavern one, and they just out there hunting butt, you know, trying to get, you know, Hail Mary, trying to hit that Hail Mary, you know, trying to get out, you know, be, you know, that dark spelunker, you know, trying to go Dexter, you know what I'm saying? And you got to be careful, man, because it's some type of addiction, you know? I mean, you have to think about this. The appropriate way, the natural way it is to happen is weenie, vagini. That's it. That's the natural way. So there, occasionally you're going to come across somebody, you know, who likes something different, who likes some new stylings. You can maybe work it out with somebody. But you need to get back to a place where you're comfortable with that, I think, if you want to be in a healthy way. That's what I think. For me, anyway. Because, look, I'm telling you, I'm coming to you a dude who's watched a lot of pornography. You know, out there seeing them digital ass cheeks and all of that, you know. And the titties flopping and things spraying out in the distance. People breaking furniture and breaking vases and stuff and doing sex. And they got brothers out there wearing their sneakers and they fucking. You know, and this shit's high definition. and people, capturing that ass, people hiding jewelry and everything and spilled milk in each other's asses and everything. And you got to be careful, man, because that stuff gets addictive and it's not healthy. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It's not healthy. So, I would say find ways to tone it down so that if you think you're addicted to it, addiction ain't cool, man. It's just not healthy. Okay? That's it, dude. All right, guys. We've had a pretty long morning here and or long afternoon whenever you're listening to this. I had this one call that came in, and this was interesting to me, and so I wanted to share this with you guys right here. Let's take a peek at this one right here.
Hey, brother. It's Christian from Bakersfield. Don't look it up. It's not important. It's hot here. It's dry.
Bakersfield. Thank you for calling, Christian. Onward.
It's ugly. It stinks. I don't want to talk about Las Vegas. I don't want to talk about NFL players kneeling. Huge Seahawks fan. It doesn't bother me. I'm going to a game in November. I'm not selling my tickets.
You heard him. He's going to a game in November. He's not selling his tickets. If the product's good, he'll go back. If the product's not good, maybe he won't. Put your money where your mouth is, Put your money wherever you put your money. That's where things are going to change. Onward.
It was more of an underlying topic that I find to be prevalent throughout all of your podcasts, which is the search for happiness, man. And I have found, and this is just my opinion, is that happiness is something that we already are. Happiness isn't something that you achieve, it's not like a goal, or, if you have that baby, if you have that car, if you have that job, if you have this much money, you'd be happy. I would be happy at this. I would be happy at that. Like, everyone is talking like this. But man, you're already happy. The problem is that people tend to just pile some of the bullshit on top of themselves. Bad relationships, bad situations, bad jobs, jobs that they know that they could do better, or jobs that they're not happy in. They just stick it out with the asshole boss and the guy that's, groping your ass or winking at you across from the cubicle.
That's this dude Sherman, this place I used to work at, man. This cat Sherman, his eyesight was bad, dude, and he'd grab anything that was warm, bro. I don't care if it was a loaf of bread or somebody's nipple or thigh, didn't matter, boy. That dude would grope. He was a real groper, and I think he came from a group of gropers. I think in his house, they were probably people that couldn't see well, his whole family. When you can't see well, you got to grope. You got to grope to know who this even is. You know what I'm saying? You have to grope first before you hug or before you wish somebody happy birthday, because you don't want to make sure you're wishing the wrong person happy birthday and it's not even the right family member. So sometimes you got to grope first to get a little bit of feeling. You got to hit that body braille. You got to hit that body braille and feel somebody down, and you catch a mole or you catch a, patch of hair or something that's unique to them. But I like this call, and I'm here continuing to listen to it with you guys just a little bit longer. Let's get back to Christian. Thank you, Christian.
And they don't realize that all this is chipping away at what you already are. You're happy by default. It's relationships that are hard to break away from, even if it's family members. If relationships don't add value, if situations don't add value to your life, you have to be strong enough as a person to completely cut it off. Let go of all the bullshit, and it's bullshit. Social media. Stop looking at the fucking news. It's depressing. Get off Facebook. Delete it. Delete everything. And just live your life and enjoy the sunsets and enjoy your family. Enjoy your kids, your dogs, your fucking whatever, herd of elephants, whatever you have going on in the backyard.
Yeah, herd of elephants in the backyard. Got a little twisty there at the end. He might be investing in some of those geodes, them geological stagtites, or the magical dice, or playing warlocks and wizards, or wizards and warlocks. But I love this guy's message, man. And that's why I wanted to wrap up today's episode with this call, because there's some righteousness in there. You know, sometimes the thinking is that we get tricked into thinking that we aren't happy to begin with. You know, that our natural default isn't happiness. And that's true. And we pile all this other stuff on and we stay in it. You know, right now, if I really ask myself, you know, what am I in that I don't want to be in? What situations, what things in work, what, interactions with other humans, loved ones, family, anyone. What am I involved in that I don't want to be in and that I can get out of? And that would just probably set me free. I bet there's a list of things, of good things. I'm not saying, you know, you just leave your family. You know, if you have responsibilities, you have responsibilities. And you take care of those. But outside of that, you know, what are we fucking milling around in, you know? Somebody's out here collecting shoes and shit. You know? I mean, Michael Jordan has all the shoes in the world. He invented half of them. You know? And he's still gonna, his life's gonna come to an end one day. You know, so I just like that call, man. There's a lot of happiness. There's already a lot of happiness. Sometimes it's just the fact that we stack all this other stuff on us. And the social media, you know, I go back to that kid from my hometown, that Barrie, who got hit by that icicle. And at the time, they didn't really have social media, but his mom was so busy, worried about telling everybody everything, that she didn't focus on what was important. She was too busy out shouting from the rooftops, you know, this and that, and, you know, Mother Nature's a whore, and he could have gone pro. He didn't have no skills, lady. But he certainly could have probably had a much better relationship with his mother if she would have focused not on what at the time was their social media, just yelling, you know, and focused just on loving her son and getting back to the things that are important and celebrating living, man. You know, it's been a wild week of loss, you know. It really has on a lot of levels. And, you know, I didn't mean this episode to be a little bit of a downer, but I've just had some of these things going through my life, and some of them are going through you guys' lives. You know? And no, we shouldn't be afraid to live, but at the same time, we have to live. You know, if we're just going to sit there and fight, and we're just going to give in to the divisiveness, then we've already lost. You know? Sometimes we as people have to rise above whatever's going on around us, even though it's the stuff that's around us is made to be so addictive. We can't shake this shit, man. People talking about cigarettes are addictive. Everything, man. There's nine varieties. There's cigarettes in every different variety. Every interaction. Twitter, you know, sugar, sex, pornography, you know, crack. Geodes, stalactites, people out there, wives buying crystals off the internet, trying to change their life, and meanwhile they sharing a bed every night with their 6-year-old daughter and making her husband sleep in the other room. And the husband acting like everything's okay. Come on, guys. You know, and I'm not preaching at you, I'm preaching with you, because these are things I need to hear myself say, man. You know, there's things in my life where I'm just going along. You know, maybe I'm not making the best moves for myself or making the best choices. You know, and I think I just got to be reminded. So I appreciate you guys getting together with me to remind myself, you know, and sharing this time together, because I don't want to end up in the dark arts, man. It's so easy. But I'm out here. I'm on the front lines of my own life. And that's where I'm going to stay, man. And I'm going to celebrate, dude. You know, I'm going to celebrate living, man. That's what I'm going to do. And I want to say, you know, God bless you, Ralphie. And my thoughts and my prayers are with you and your soul and your family. Ralph Duran. Ralph Duran. It almost sounds like a redneck clothing company. Oh, I got this Ralph Duran. I got this Ralph Duran. But a beautiful man, dude, and I hope your spirit lives on in so many people, dude. It almost seems like you infected millions. You know, and I think maybe sometimes your weight, you had to be that big. I don't know if a skinny man could have pulled that job off. But But thank you, dude. You inspire me, man. You know, you inspire me to reach out to other young comedians who probably need to know that, you know, that they're not alone if they're second guessing themselves. And I'm going to do that, man. I'm going to do that. I'm going to remember to do that in your honor. And I don't even think I'm going to have to think to remember it, because I think my feelings are going to remind me, you know. But you guys be good, man. I know we're a little bit all over the place, but just trying to learn as we go. And thank you guys. You guys be good. Hit the hotline if you want to be a part of the show, 985-664-9503. And we'll add a little bit more show here onto the Patreon. And I'll Patreoners, I'll see you guys there in a bit. God bless y'all. If you believe in God. If you don't, then just bless y'all, man. But somebody bless y'all. Just don't live alone. Be good to yourselves. I bet you deserve it.